Hello, and welcome to the ninth episode of Housing Crisis in California. My name is Henk Conn, and I am a social worker. And I'm joined together with Corey Chambers, who is a real estate broker. Today, we're going to discuss another topic and this topic is going to be homelessness. Corey, I put it to you. Um, Owning land is a business that's very big in our country. And yet, first of all, because people own land, people are not permitted to go on certain lands that people own. Uh, and most land is either owned privately or it is owned by the government publicly. Uh, because of no trespassing laws, we have developed a culture of homeless people. Uh, Only because of these laws specifically, homelessness creates people to be criminals. It criminalizes the homeless because they violate a kind of a kind of uh, uh, pure law of trespassing, and that creates a class. So, a real estate broker is what you are. Corey, is making so much money worth the existence of homeless people in America today?
Well, I think America has proven that more wealth uh, makes a bigger middle class, and private ownership makes a bigger middle class. So the homelessness, in my mind, and I think a lot of people, a lot of libertarians like myself, um, we see that homeless activities have not been criminalized. They have been decriminalized over the last 10, 20 years, especially in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, so forth, in California and the left coast. And so that's where we're seeing a lot more. Plus, the government itself has been shifting money to the wealthy. Just the COVID hysteria alone shifted more money more quickly from the middle class to the rich. I forgot the amount, well, like
First of all,
$1
I have a
trillion
question though,
or
because I see homeless people as people, and yet when the rest of the world rest of the country looks upon California trying to do right by homeless people, they call us commie California. Um, how is it that people can both share a love for people, their neighbor, they're the people that are legally in our country? How can we both share a love for them, but yet one calls us commie for trying to help them when we deal with such a mess? Because it is a hard thing to do, while other parts of the country uh, point their finger at us derisively. How does that exist in our country today?
I think some people call California California because it has become more and more socialist and has done a worse and worse job at helping homeless people. Putting homeless people out onto the sidewalk is not helping homeless people. That's not compassionate or caring for homeless people.
What's wrong with people being out on the streets? First of all, um, what what's so wrong with people sleeping out on sidewalks?
Well, I think there should be some designated places where homeless people should be able to camp out. Um, but homeless people, I don't know, the laws in Cal are clear that people should be living in safe places. And for some reason, the laws for homeless people have said they don't need to be in a safe place.
Can
They
you
don't.
can you let me know where? See, I think the safest place for a homeless person to be is not in the state-run shelters and or county-run shelters. Actually, if I was homeless, I would want to be out in the woods, away from people, because homeless people are three times more likely to be preyed upon than the general population. So sleeping out in the streets, that's probably a much better place to be than inside a shelter where people will go in and prey on you. But so I think the idea of safety is a fantasy.
From what I've seen, living in central Los Angeles for 14 years, in a very large homeless population area, I've seen homeless people in their tents getting shot, set on fire repeatedly, right across the street, right around the corner, and bullets flying right outside my window, right across the street.
Oh my God. Well, who's
So
doing this?
that's
What?
not safe. Well, it's usually gang people that are doing most of the shooting.
Okay, so
Um,
what? So okay, you just described something horrific. I feel complete. I question humanity why they're not solving this tonight. How they can continue knowing this is horrific. It sounds like a
it,
John Carpenter movie, like Escape from L.A.
it
How
could
can we
be
accept this?
it could be solved tonight by um, allowing homeless people to either take care of themselves if they can, and if they can't, giving them the help that they need. I mean, you don't force children to take care of themselves, and if someone is so mentally ill that they cannot take care of themselves, you don't force them to take care of themselves. That's not compassionate. They need to be given choices of taking care of themselves when they can and getting care that they need. Sometimes they have to be ordered to get that care in a place that is safe and
Yes.
does not allow crime. It does not allow
But
them
still,
to.
I contend to why is it that why is trespassing exist? Just because someone owns a property does that really mean they can say who can go on their property?
Right. If you don't have trespassing laws, like Los Angeles, San Francisco have kind of stopped enforcing a lot of their trespassing laws. The result is homeless people, um, mentally ill people coming onto properties and physically attacking, assaulting, and terrorizing people who own the properties. Um, uh,
Hmm.
so,
But isn't
trust.
also the result going to be less putting people you're putting fewer people in an expensive jail and inhuman jail system just to make sure that somebody doesn't poop on the lawn?
Well, I think people can agree that someone should only be in jail if they're kind of violent or really damaging properties or things like that. I don't think you and I are going to agree on the particular details of that. But if you don't have private property laws, then you don't own your property. If you can't own your property, you're not free. It's not, America is based, all the wealthy countries, all the free countries is based on private property ownership.
Mhm. And, you believe this model is, well, see, I when I see a model that cannot solve the problem it creates, um, owning this kind of model has created this condition of homelessness. These aren't like Bedouin people that are living with, Persian rugs thrown out and eating lamb shawarma. We know that. It has created this new class of people, um, like a third world, and this is what it's created. So, but then it turns around and says that they're not a system that solves this problem. That's a socialist problem. Shouldn't a system that creates this be accountable?
All of the wealthy countries have always had facilities for homeless people who cannot take care of themselves. Uh, it's the Republicans and the Democrats both that have made decisions to stop funding those, to close them, and to not keep homeless people in there against their will. And I think there's very few cases now of the only mentally ill people in institutions are people who literally cannot think at all. Um, Everybody else, if you can think slightly and utter a couple words, then they let you out of the institution, even if you are, um, stealing and harassing and trespassing and even terrorizing in
And I
some
find it so
cases.
odd that you use such descriptive words for a population which isn't unique to homeless people. Houseless people do all this. When you talk about people that have houses and do the same thing that the homeless people are doing, do you talk about them this way as well?
almost 100% of homeless people are either mentally ill, substance abusers, ex-felons, or all three of those, or some combination. So they require
I would say about
care.
I would say about, less than 1% of these populations are homeless. Actually, 99% of these populations are in houses.
I think you're right. Certainly more than 90%. But so we're talking about
So
um,
what so so having the characteristic of homelessness automatically creates this idea of robbery, thieves, people that are destructive. It's ingrained in our culture, but I digress. I do wonder, if it is ever going to be at all possible to create these safe spaces for homeless people just to go to, such as a park that is dedicated from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. only to be for people that are homeless, and have it to be legally where they can go in the heart of Los Angeles and the heart of Santa Monica and even in Venice, that these places have to have safe zones that they don't have today. Where are the safe zones?
I think homeless people that could camp and clean up after themselves and all that other good stuff should be able to camp out in certain places. And I think you and I agree on that.
Formally, because I think a lot of it happens, but that's because of an overburdened police department that can't control it, so it has to fight its battle. So homelessness continues in such a wide area today because they just don't have the resources to arrest everybody. I don't think it comes out of good nature, and it's not written in the law that they're allowed. Can there one day be formally a place that we have safe zones across this place where our poor, sick, and retired who cannot afford a place can go and be legally there?
Yeah, we need that. We need more of that for sure. Because right now is the laws are not correct for that. The laws in California do not allow affordable housing. You cannot build a small house in California. You cannot build a tiny home in California. You cannot do lots of things that are required to help homeless people. And yeah,
So
Los Angeles,
there's no solutions. There's no solutions coming across the horizon.
I haven't seen any solutions coming across the horizon, but you've mentioned a couple. Um, yeah, allowing people to camp out in appropriate places versus encouraging them to camp out in inappropriate places is part of our problem, and that could be solved through, legislation and so forth.
Mhm. Um, One day, we will all be homeless, probably about 80% of us, where it will no longer be, and that's where I see it, is that in the next 1 to 2 generations, the majority of population will be homeless. And instead of being the way you describe the population as you see them now, it's just going to be everybody. And so, but once we are homeless, we can never stand up for ourselves and redraw the laws because we will be homeless. So while we are not homeless and we have the power to change the laws the way homeless people are treated, we should do that. What do you think?
I think that must not change laws to encourage homelessness. We must not change laws to discourage being healthy, wealthy, and wise and productive and independent. We need to have laws and a society that encourages wealth, especially middle class. And but you can't really have a strong middle class without having a strong wealthy class as well.
Mm. But who are these middle class people that allow their world to exist this way?
Well, I think that I think the people have been voting to decriminalize homelessness, and I think that's kind of part of the problem.
Oh,
Because
I thought that was going to be my positive way to end this discussion. That was going to
no,
that's a good thing.
they've decriminalized not only homelessness, they're decriminalizing all sorts of things, theft and all kinds of things have been decriminalized in Los Angeles. It varies. If you go to a conservative city in Fresno did not decriminalize theft and so forth. Homeless people in Fresno, where I've been launching the Antar Real Estate corporate headquarters. You come here and guess what? Homeless people, there's more than there used to be, but they're all very well behaved. 100%, 100% of every homeless person I've seen in Fresno has been well behaved and law abiding versus Los Angeles. It's night and day. It's a very stark difference. It's concrete proof positive that police can police homeless people. And when homeless people cannot follow the same laws as everybody else, then they can end up either in jail or in a mental facility.
I cannot believe I'm giving you the last words on the discussion that way, but I think I am. All right. So I cannot believe I'm going to let you end this discussion in that manner because I want to challenge him such. But thank you for coming on this quick episode. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
I look forward to being challenged in our next interview.
Yes, me as well.
And
Good night.
why don't you
Yes. What's Say that again?
bring on a wayward, unlawful homeless person, and I'll bring on a lawful homeless person from Fresno so you can compare notes.
Are you suggesting that we have bum fights?
Yes, we should have bum fights and homeless wars.
You should really be ashamed of yourself.
Well, I'm talking video here.
All right.
Not in person.
Once again, thank you for coming on this episode. And hopefully we'll talk very soon on this housing crisis that in every way so far is only getting worse.
Mhm.
Good night.
Yes. Look forward to next
Yes.
time.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
I'm gonna leave that in. I'm gonna leave it in.